What? That's okay. Okay, we're going to get started. Welcome. It's so good to see you all. Molly, the screen is facing this way. Okay. All right. So it's good to see you all. We're going to start out with our icebreaker, and I'm going to try to get this minimized. So the question is pretty lighthearted. So say your name and say something that made you happy this week. So I'm Jackie. It made me happy to go to the park with my kids yesterday.
Took me in a little unexpectedly. David showing there's so many things that are making me unhappy, but I am feeling better. I was able to spend 2 days with my client, and that made me really happy.
I'm Joyce, and my granddaughter called me the other day. She wanted to know if she could come over and have lunch with me on Wednesday. And she came over. She said she wanted to try to spend at least one day with me.
Okay, that's wonderful. Hey, Joanne.
I'm Joanne, and actually, on Wednesday I lost my dad, so it's been a really rough week, and I did have something that did make me happy yesterday. I had a friend of his come up to me in the store and say how he really was pleased that he worked with my dad, and he was sorry to hear about his death, but he was glad that my dad is not suffering anymore, and that right there is a blessing to me because he had Alzheimer's for about 15 years. So no more mind problems or anything. And he went quick.
My name is Gloria. I have to say, a new client, and went out with her and had a great time. Yeah, I'll just speak up. Oh, okay, very good. I went to visit two cousins, one with a surgical problem and one recovering after a terrible, terrible accident, and they're both doing really, really well. They both have very positive attitudes, and it was a great visit. Okay.
I'm Paula, and I'm just glad that the storm wasn't as bad as they said it was going to be.
There's a lot of lightning.
Yeah.
And thunder and all that
I had
kind of stuff.
my phone.
Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Hi, I'm Eddie Morris. I think last week one of the things that I was satisfied with was my youngest daughter went on a prom, so that's the beginning of a final journey through high school, and she's on her way to college. So that was kind of nice. That's exciting.
That's wonderful. Here, I'm coming to you, Charlie, next.
My name is Charlie, and the thing that made me happy last week was that I got invited to graduation/promotion service for one of our Sunday school kids, and I was happy about that.
Hi, my name is Mary Corbett, and I was happy my grandson got a 4-year scholarship to college.
Hi, my name is Kenyatta, and I'm just happy I got some personal tasks completed last week, and that's good enough for me.
Absolutely. Hey, Kelly.
My name is Kelly Bell, and I was really thrilled to see my daughter come on Friday for Mother's Day, so that was great.
I'm Sister Marianne, and many things made me happy, but the one that stands out was on Sunday I had a surprise visit from a dear friend, and we had a good time together.
Sister Mary Beth, many things made me happy this week. I was able to feed my brother-in-law, and he ate everything I gave him. And I'm happy that it's Friday.
That's a good day.
My name is Maggie, and I was happy because my granddaughters are coming to visit.
Here you go, Molly.
I'm Molly. I just passed my CNA exam
Yeah.
just yesterday. Happy about that.
Good for you. Not
Uh,
surprised. But
that's
good
the
for you.
main thing which has happened to me.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Thanks.
Molly has a lot of nursing experience, so she knows what's up. All right, Shirley.
I guess I could name a number of things. First of all, being able to come here because I had a hip replacement, but then I had a couple of setbacks and I had a hairline fracture on it, but it's better. But I think the biggest joy I got this week was I volunteered to help kindergartners, right? So they first came in there, couldn't write the name, couldn't read a lick, and we finally got through the vowels and everything. Everybody's reading just perfect, and that just warmed my heart, and stuff.
That's wonderful. Kathy, do you want to share your name and one thing that made you happy this week? Kathy is visiting from up north, from Will County.
I'm Kathy Schweikart. A similar job to Jackie. I'm the coordinator for Will and Grundy for Senior Companion. One of the things that I'm grateful for, I know Jackie knows I have a little puppy. Her name is Joy. She's just getting bigger and bigger and a little less bitey. So that's something that's helping me a lot.
That is awesome. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you for being here. Okay, so you're probably wondering who this is. This is Noelle. She is here to speak. She's a physical therapist, and I'm hoping that I wrote her qualifications correctly. Let's see if I can get this to work. Noelle currently works at Riverside as a pelvic floor therapist, and then you still do home health. Is that correct? Wonderful. There you go. Okay. I am having a hard time. Give me just 1 second with the slides. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to hand over the mic, and then you can take it away. Thank you for being here. You're welcome.
Make sure that doesn't flop around a little bit.
Do you want me to hand out handouts?
No, you know what? I'm going to explain them first, so you can hang on to them for now. Cool. Well, as Jackie said, my name is Noelle. I'm a physical therapist with Riverside, and I work in two places. I work in one of our outpatient clinics with a specialization in pelvic floor therapy, and then I also work in home health care. So I've been a PT for about 11 years, which is wild now. So today, Jackie asked me to just talk a little bit about fall prevention and management. So this is an area I have a little bit of expertise in as a home care PT. So we're going to chat about a few things, and then I do have a handout if you guys are interested, and some free stress balls. If anyone's feeling stressed, wants to take one of those home, we have plenty. You're more than welcome to. So a couple of statistics you may or may not be familiar with, but 1 in 4 adults fall each year, according to the CDC, older adults specifically. And falls are the leading cause of injury in people 65 and older. So really, really prevalent, really, really important. Falling once doubles your chance of falling again. So the more that we can prevent falls in the first place, the better off we're going to be. And most falls, especially falls in the home, are actually quite preventable. So we're going to talk about some ways to help manage that you can use personally and or share with the people that you're working with too. So as far as risk factors, this is an important thing we want to kind of go through. There's a whole lot of risk factors, but I've kind of boiled them down to a few different categories today. So the first is muscle weakness. This is really, really applicable, especially for people that are a little less mobile. So muscle weakness is understandably a huge cause of falling, because if we don't have the strength and support that we need for our mobility, we're going to be more likely to trip, to fall, to lose our balance, things like that. The second risk factor is balance and gait problems as well, and there's a whole lot of things that go into balance. There's vision, There's sensation. So if you have neuropathy, numbness or tingling, things like that, that affects balance as well. Weakness affects our balance, but so does things like, dizziness or vertigo, things like that certainly can as well. So there's a whole lot of things that go into making our balance what it is. So issues in any of those areas can lead to problems with balance. Medication side effects. There's a lot of medications that cause issues like dizziness, like fatigue, like vision problems, double vision, things like that. So the side effects, it will affect everyone a little differently. So sometimes someone can take one med, have no problems. Another person can take that medication and have all kinds of side effects. So just being aware of the medications that you're taking and the side effects associated with that is incredibly helpful to know. And if there is a medication that you're taking or someone that you know is taking that's causing issues like that, it's incredibly important to then talk to that referring physician to go through, hey, can we maybe change what we're doing with this dosage or change when we're taking this med, things like that. Additionally, hearing or vision loss are huge risk factors. Vision, especially because, of course, we are able to see objects in our way. We're able to see if the light isn't as good, things like that. So if vision problems, whether that's just general vision issues or something like glaucoma or macular degeneration or things like that, that all kind of increases our chance of having falls. And then I also like to mention just home hazards. So if you have a lot of clutter, throw rugs, things in your way like that, things like if you have like an uneven surface on your floor, if there's a little bump here or there, things like that, all kind of increase our chances of falling. And then issues with incontinence or waking up a lot at nighttime to go to the bathroom all increase our risk of falling as well. And that can be related to just personal, conditions, or side effects of medication can lead to those things as well. So a couple things to just kind of reflect on for yourself to help gauge what your risk is, of course, if any of those risk factors apply to you, but also just asking yourself, okay, have I fallen in the last year? Do I feel unsteady when I'm up and walking? Do I have to hold on to furniture or walls if I'm getting a little wobbly? Those are all kind of indicators of where you might be at when it comes to balance and fall prevention as well. So how do we help prevent falls, right? Great question. I'm glad you asked. The first is exercise and movement. Now, this isn't the only way, but this is really important and obviously something I feel passionate about as a PT. So when it comes to exercise, it doesn't have to be something intense. We just want to keep moving. One of the biggest things I see happen as a PT is people reach a certain point where they just kind of lose motivation to get up and go. They spend a lot of time in that recliner, and all of a sudden we see a loss of strength, right? So even if it's something as simple as like sit or be fit or chair yoga, tai chi, things like that are fantastic. But I also always recommend a walking program, just a daily walking program, whether that's outside, going to Walmart and walking around the aisles, going to the gym, whatever that might be. Walking is actually one of the best ways to help build strength and endurance. So walking program and any kind of mobility that you find, because our strength, our balance, our flexibility are all going to help us kind of prevent those issues with falling. And then just balance exercises in general. So if you ever needed PT or have had PT, you may have seen some balance exercises, but even just working on things as simple as some heel to toe walking for practice, or standing and practicing with your feet together, or standing with your eyes closed and kind of working on maintaining your balance if that's safe for you. Obviously, if you've had therapy or are interested in therapy, then you could get a more specialized program, but those are just a couple samples of some balance exercises that can help kind of retrain that balance system a little bit. So the first is exercise. The second way we work at preventing falls is home safety. So obviously we cannot control the environment where we're going, right? If you're going out and about, if you're coming to the store, you're coming to Community Cup, you really can't control what's happening around you. But at home, we can make our environments as safe as possible. So things like removing that clutter. Ideally, if throw rugs are a hazard, removing those, or at least being extra cautious where those are going to be on the ground. I'm a big fan of night lights, or at least being consistent with having lights on if you are getting up at nighttime to go to the bathroom. And then non-slip footwear. So good shoes, especially if you're going to be going out and about, can be incredibly helpful for fall prevention as well. I did bring handouts, which I'm going to kind of explain really quick, that are a great fall prevention guide. So you can see, like, we use these all the time with home health, the stoplight here. So green means that there's maybe a mild risk. These are things to consider regarding falls. Yellow would mean higher risk, and red would mean this is something we need to address right away. So in the green, it talks about, okay, I might be at a higher fall risk because I've had a recent change in my mobility. So I've had surgery, or I've been in the hospital and I'm feeling weaker, or changes in our vision, medications, or even just kind of feeling weaker or a new diagnosis. Those are all things to kind of consider. And then we want to, as far as actions go, we want to do some of the things we just talked about. Maybe starting to use an assistive device for a short period of time or a long period of time. Maintaining those like home safety sorts of things. And then when we move to yellow, we're talking about a caution zone. So this would be if you're dealing with dizziness, you've had a recent fall, maybe not injured, but you've had a recent fall, confusion, increased weakness, or you have a significant vision problem. And then those actions are going to be a little more involved. So maybe it involves getting your blood pressure checked regularly, having some more home safety measures put in, like grab bars or things like that in the home, and maybe even initiating physical therapy at this stage too. And then red would be kind of a medical alert situation. So this would be if you've had a fall with some minor or major injuries, or you've had issues with like a significant change in mental status, or know someone that has, so confusion, disorientation, things like that. Or you've had a fall and you've had a recent surgery. Those are all instances where you want to kind of seek medical attention, or at least speak to your physician fairly quickly. So we use these all the time as just a really simple guide of how to kind of assess your own fall risk, and then for what to do if any of those symptoms are applicable to you. So I have plenty of copies that you're welcome to take and for yourself, or hand out for whomever you'd like. So feel free when we're done to grab some of those. Also, health management of our medical conditions is a great way to prevent falls. So for example, if you're dealing with high blood pressure, managing that high blood pressure to keep it within range is going to be a great way to prevent issues with falling. Regular vision and hearing checks to make sure all of that is functioning at its best. And then staying hydrated and eating well, which is a big thing I'm passionate about too. Most people in the world are dehydrated, and that only gets worse as we get older because our thirst mechanism actually decreases, and so that means we don't feel as thirsty as we maybe have before. So staying on top of drinking water and eating well, because that appetite can kind of decrease a little bit too. So protein, fruits and veggies, all of those things, because our body works better when we're well nourished and when we're hydrated. So dehydration can affect things like balance and dizziness as well. So just kind of maintaining those regular health and lifestyle things can be a really significant way to help with fall prevention too. As I mentioned earlier, supportive footwear. So good shoes, non-slip, especially if you have diabetes. Having good footwear that protects your feet and keeps you from losing balance, helps with that sensation management, is a really important part of fall prevention as well. And then use of assistive devices. I get that most people aren't thrilled about the idea of having to use a cane or a walker if it comes to that point. But what I always tell my patients is I'd rather use a cane or a walker, even if it's just for a short period of time, than not, and have a fall that leads to a problem, like a hip fracture or a brain hitting your head and having a concussion or something like that. So it's preferable, in my eyes, to use that cane for a little bit rather than to go without it and have an issue that could set you back for quite a bit. Okay, so when should I see a physical therapist is something else I wanted to mention. It's kind of on the stoplights, as I talked about a couple minutes ago, but really if you've had a fall or a near fall in the last year, it's a great idea to see a PT just to get an evaluation. And that could include something like home physical therapy, or if you're out and about and pretty ambulatory, going to an outpatient physical therapist for some strength and balance management. So a fall or a near fall within the last year is a great indicator that maybe I should get that assessment and see what's going on. Additionally, if walking is starting to feel a little more difficult, or you notice yourself hanging onto furniture, walls, things like that, to kind of balance yourself, great sign that, maybe it's time for me to kind of get assessed and see if there's something I need to do to help kind of prevent falls, but also see a PT to get some more management for that. And then also, if you're just interested in a fall risk assessment or a personalized exercise plan, it's always a great idea to see a PT. And if that is something that you're interested in, or you have a companion or someone that's maybe interested in or will qualify for, all that involves is talking to the primary physician and asking for a referral. And that could be home care if that's where the need is, or outpatient therapy if you're able to kind of get in and out as well. So that's kind of the process for that. It's really simple. Usually almost every primary physician I work with is more than happy to send a referral for physical therapy. So that's typically never an issue if that's something that you're concerned about as well. And I always like to kind of say that falling is not a normal part of aging. Sometimes I feel like people feel like it is normal. It might be common, but it's not normal. So there's things we can do to prevent that, to manage that. So please, if there's any concerns that you have, or friends or family or companions have, please, please, please get that referral to PT and kind of talk about maybe what those options are. So kind of to summarize, exercise. Make sure you're staying on top of your own medication management, home safety, things like that. And then if there's ever any concerns or questions, please know that all of your healthcare providers are there to help make sure that they're part of that process to prevent falling for you. Other than that, that's kind of my little spiel for today. Do you have any questions? I have a few minutes if there's any questions or concerns that you have for me.
Could you share a little more about, when you say if you have a fall,
Yes.
then you're more likely
Mm-hmm.
to have another fall?
Yeah.
Could you share a little more about why and how that works?
Yeah, I would say probably the biggest red flag with that is sort of like there's obviously issues that have led to that first fall that are underlying, and so if we don't address them, you're more likely to have additional falls. With that too, one thing I've noticed a lot is if someone has a fall, there's a lot of fear and anxiety around mobility after that. So we get a little overly cautious, or we can almost be a little bit too concerned about what's going to happen, and then self-fulfilling prophecy, we end up tripping over something, or over anxiety, end up having an issue. But additionally with that too, if it is, for example, a medication issue that's new, or a new diagnosis, it could be an underlying symptom of that's been going on that can lead to that happening again in the future. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I suppose if you're afraid of falling, you're not exercising as much, and you're starting to experience
Yes.
muscle weakness.
Absolutely. It can be like a cycle there. You have a fall, you're afraid to move. You don't move, you get weaker, you're at higher risk of falling, and then kind of can continue on. Yeah, so there's quite a few things that can lead into that. That's a good question. Yeah.
I have been going the last 1 year to families, to clients I have.
Great.
And then I find that the houses are cluttered so much.
Yes.
If I tried, I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
Professional for the last 35 years. Still, and I tell you, even a plastic cup, I'm not able to go from the houses. Everything is important. And there are 2 dogs, and the 2 dogs have about 100 soft toys.
Yeah, dog toys are a big one.
The house.
Yeah.
Tell me, what should I do? And I tried so hard.
Yeah.
1 year now, believe me.
I believe you. So, on one hand, there's only so much you can do. You can have that conversation with them multiple times about the importance of that, but I've learned as a healthcare professional as well that you can't want it for them either. So you can have that conversation and do the best that you can. Even if maybe talking, instead of saying, hey, let's get rid of everything, hey, maybe can we shift where we're putting things or reorganize?
Really tried.
Yeah.
I said, I will clean up.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, my crochet things are about crochet, you know.
So
that's about 20 kilos, you know. The soft thing is 20 kilos or 50 pounds. It's plenty.
Yeah.
The house was just wondering what's happening, you know.
Sure.
We are all 65, 70 plus.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, know, I
Yeah.
think my house are really empty.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the hard part too is there may be some psychological things associated with hoarding, and even if it's not hoarding officially, keeping on to things, like there's probably more than one component involved, you know. So there's
Like the dogs and cats has to be all the time inside the house. I have a dog and a cat, and I have place for them. You know?
Yeah.
They are there, and then I want them for specific 2 minutes, 3 minutes. They can enter where I want them to enter.
Yeah.
They say they don't house.
Well, I think there's only so much you can do. And if you've had those conversations and done what you can, you may have to just continue to help manage the situation as it is and hope that they kind of change their perspective on that too. But it's frustrating. I know. I've been there too.
For me, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I be laughing about the whole thing, making jokes about this whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
But I said,
Yeah.
Mom said only for the girls only 3 toys, you know.
Yeah. To downsize. Yes, and that's a great point, and I think you're probably doing the best you can right now, and that could be frustrating too. But yeah, thank you for sharing.
One of the hardest things I had to learn when I became a senior companion is people have the right to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
And I can't change their mind. I can guide, I can help, but they just have the right to make those bad decisions.
But they keep quiet about saying, you know, oh, I can't move, I have problems, I fall. I didn't even know that lady cannot see properly till yesterday.
Yeah.
She never told me, can you see me? I said, I wrote something, can you see this is good?
Uh-huh.
And then she said, I can't see you. Did you know that?
Mm.
I said, my God.
Yeah.
Your medical vision is okay.
Yeah.
This thing is not. I was shocked. I said, oh my God.
Yeah. Sometimes you find out information way down the road that you think would have been disclosed initially.
Molly, you made a good point about pets. Could you talk about like safety around pets as it pertains to falling? Are you able
Yeah. I mean, the same principles apply when it comes to pets, cats or dogs. Dogs tend to be a little bit more of a risk sometimes than cats do. So ideally, like, one part of that is maintaining pet toys or supplies out of your way. So if you have a cat or a dog that likes to bring those toys and throw them right in front of you, or in front of your companion, then making sure that we're kind of clearing those pathways before. But also I talk a lot with my patients about watching pets kind of underfoot. So if you have a cat or a dog that particularly follows you around, likes to be around your feet, then that's going to involve you being extra careful when you are getting up and moving. Obviously, we're not talking about getting rid of your cat or your dog, okay? But we do need to have extra caution that they're out of the way. And even if that involves like maybe having for example, for some people that use a walker or a cane, their cat gets a little scared, they'll stay out of the way. Sometimes that's a little bit helpful too. But also working on jumping when it comes to dogs in particular, because that can be a fall risk for older people, in particular if there's already a balance problem there. So even going through some training to help maintain, just basic obedience to prevent things like that can go a long way too. Yeah.
All right, there's another problem.
Yeah.
We got people in the building have dogs.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes we got the polio.
Yes, pulling is a big one. I have had that happen with patients before too. Yeah, that's another basic obedience probably situation of getting some training if it's feasible to help with just leash walking for a dog in general. Because if a dog's not really been leash trained, they can definitely be pullers, and then that can certainly cause a risk with that. And again, not always feasible to get that training, but even if in that scenario someone else is able to come with them to walk the dog, or looking into some training would be a great way to mitigate that. But it's a great point. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I had a dog that was a puller, and sometimes if they had a body.
Oh yeah, the leash, the harness. Yeah. I also, just with my own dog, if this is helpful, I have a little bag of treats, and I just give him a treat so he stays by my side the whole time. So you kind of just keep feeding him a treat so they don't start pulling around. It's another thing you can kind of do to help mitigate that risk too. So yeah, I think you had your hand up too. Sorry.
I have a little bit of vertigo right when I get up.
Okay.
And that's when I hold on to things, but after a minute it goes away.
Yeah.
Sometimes even like bending over, trying to find certain bowls, I might get a little bit
like dizzy.
But it's just momentarily.
Yeah.
And I think I have sinus problems. I think the sinus pressure works on the vertigo too. But it's not a very big problem. It's mainly when I first get up or maybe bend over. It passes real quick.
Yeah, and I actually often talk too about when you first, for a lot of people, when you first get up, taking a minute to get your bearings before you start walking, because that change in position can cause some of that as well. And then you're right, certain positions can increase that chance too. So bending over is a big one. Rolling in bed, like if you're rolling side to side.
I can't roll over anymore. I get lightheaded.
Yeah.
So I can't do that anymore.
And if that is happening regularly, by the way, that might, if that is positional vertigo, there is actually PT treatment that you can get that can help with vertigo as well. So there are PTs that specialize in that to help reduce that as well. So if it is actual vertigo that's positional like that, there are things that can help prevent that and reduce that too. But in general, if it's positional kind of dizziness, then taking your time, just like you're talking about, and waiting before you then go to the next position is probably the best way to help prevent that. Yeah. Yeah.
We had a sister coming home from the nursing home.
Uh-huh.
And she has a balancing issue because of a lack of toe.
Yeah.
And so my question is, would it be helpful for us to have a gait belt in the house?
Sure.
And do you have to have special training to use a gait belt?
Yeah, it's a great question. That is true. Amputations of any kind are going to be a bit of a mobility challenge. But even the toes, even though it feels like it shouldn't be that big of a deal, can really, really change how you balance, because your feet do a lot of work to keep you upright. So in regards to your question, yeah, you can absolutely have a gait belt in the house. I would recommend probably home care for her if that's an option, because a home care therapist could help train all of you on how to use that effectively in the home for sure, and then also help with that transition for her of just getting back home, moving around safely. Ultimately, the basics I would tell you just briefly with the gait belt is you want to make sure it's around the waist. So you want it to be low if you can, as long as there's nothing here that could cause a problem. You want it to be tight enough that it's not going to slip up, but not so tight that she can't breathe. And you can kind of get a hand in there, right? So typically what we do is walk behind them while kind of holding on to that gait belt in case there's an issue with falling. And then to get up, if standing up's a problem, then either coming in front and holding on to that gait belt, or on the side and holding on to that gait belt. So that's kind of just a brief crash course, but I think home health would be a great option, it sounds like, for her. And they can help with training you all as well. Great, awesome. And then they can give you more detailed and answer any more specific questions too in the home setting, which would be really helpful, I'm sure. Yeah.
Going back to the vertigo.
Yeah.
I had a brief bout of food poisoning, which gave me tremendous vertigo.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even get out of the house to go.
Oh, yeah.
I got online and find the physical therapy.
Yeah, the exercises, uh-huh.
And at first I thought, oh my gosh, it's making it worse. But I kept it up and it really helped.
Yes, it does feel really odd, because at first it might feel like it gets worse, but they work great. If that's what the problem is, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. That's great. Yes, good. Any other questions? Yeah.
I have a friend. Well, she's going to be a friend. She's the wife of a friend, and she has tremendous growth. And it's very scary to watch. She has probably 6 pets, most cats.
Oh, okay. A lot of fall risks happening.
It's terrifying to watch her grow. She's a very proud woman.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when I say it's really bad, I'm not into drama. She does this a lot.
Is she in the area?
She's in Maintainer.
Okay. Yeah, would you think she'd be open to doing physical therapy for the vertigo?
I can give it a try.
Yeah.
There's just so much in her home.
Yeah.
That our tripping is.
Yeah.
She has no bar so there's just problem things that have to be, it's way out of my spectrum of help. I don't know what to do to help her, but I can just tell that she, at any point, I mean, the boards in her on her desk are going like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went, I don't know how to help you. I really didn't.
Kelly, Options Center for Independent Living can do home safety walkthroughs and provide grab bars and things like that.
Yeah, they
So
did for me.
that might be another
Yep.
another option.
And they were wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put it in, and I had railing, steel railing, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But it was unsteady. They put a solid wood railing in for me,
Yeah.
which is very nice. Red bars and an additional additional things to banister to help me walk down the
Yeah.
stairs. Red bars in my kitchen that gave me shelves that I can pull out. So I guess Options would be like, I'll ask her about the physical therapy.
Yeah.
If that helped her a lot.
Yeah.
I know swimming in the legs.
Yeah.
Is huge. I'm not going to do that because it's not doing it right now. But I'm definitely one. And it was ear.
Okay.
So they had to cut out the balance in the hearing.
Yeah.
So I like to say that I don't fall, but I'm even around this much. So going on lawns, I have 2 little dogs. They're on one leash.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That is very difficult.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So should I walk out in the street? I don't know if I want to teach them that.
Yeah, I mean, in general, if you're able to walk on an even surface, it's going to be helpful for balance for sure. Or even, I don't know where you're walking at. If there's no sidewalk available, if you have to walk on.
I'm not.
Okay. So probably an even surface is going to be the safest option if you're able to. And if you are walking on the road, if it's not a busy road, I think you could do that okay. If it's obviously a busy road, then probably not. Yeah.
Well, I will use Options. I will recommend physical therapy.
Yeah, and if she ever was open to home PT, they would do a home safety evaluation too. Yeah.
If they do an evaluation, they won't go in and call anyone to take your pets away.
No, I mean, I don't think so unless it was there was a major neglect situation, but no, I've never seen that happen.
No.
Yeah, I've never seen that happen.
Scary to me.
Yeah, no, it sounds like she could benefit from a home safety assessment regardless, and Options is a great choice. And if she is open to PT in the home, they'll go through those things with her too.
And she is Medicare, so that would.
Yep, it's covered. And so would outpatient therapy for the vertigo. So either would be covered. Yeah, yeah. No, you're okay.
If she gets out at all, does she? Can she get out?
Pretty scary if she does, because she.
Yeah, I was just going to say that they do offer a program here through Catholic Charities, Matter of Balance, but if she can't get out, and that's I've been to it. It's very helpful.
Is it really?
It's a side. It deals with it's like a 5-6 week program.
Oh, cool.
They each week they deal with a different aspect. They have interviews with people and share how exercise, things like that have helped them. So I don't think they've got one going right now, but maybe in the future. And sometimes they tie it in with bingo signs as well. They do a fall prevention thing as part of bingo signs.
Cool.
So that's something to consider later on too. Is that through Catholic Charities they have a pretty helpful program and a lot of information you share. They share.
Absolutely.
As well, so.
That's great. Yeah.
Can I bring seniors that are not appointed to me, just friends, to Catholic Charities for these things?
Absolutely. Up there for some of them you have to register for.
Right.
So in your packet there's a senior center calendar for this month, and it'll say if you have to register.
Yeah, I just didn't know if I could bring.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions?
Yes.
Shirley?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Hip replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was doing okay, that's what it said.
Uh-huh.
And then I tried to ride my bicycle.
Okay.
And I couldn't get the leg that they had operated on to actually pick up. Water therapy is better.
What kind of, did you do outpatient therapy or did you do like home health?
I did home, and they came to the house first.
Yep.
And then I went out.
Okay.
Therapy there.
Did they have you try the bike while you were there?
Yeah.
And it was okay?
A little bit.
Okay. I actually think what might be better, if that's the specific concern, would be practicing on a stationary bike till that felt really, really good, and then maybe transitioning from there to a overground bike. Because sometimes if you haven't done enough on the stationary bike or whatever, that range of motion in your hip might not be quite ready for that. But water therapy is an option, but I think if cycling in particular is the goal, that I would look at some stationary bike, like whether that's going to the gym or to PT or whatever, and then after that feels pretty easy and pretty good, then kind of trying the bike you have at home. Any other questions? Okay. Well, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm going to leave the stress balls with you. Okay, great. So you can hand them out. If you would like some, please feel free to take.
I'll put them in the basket that has suckers in it. That way you can grab them on your way out.
There's that. Do you want to hang on to these?
That would be great. We have some people I mail.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. It was nice to see all of you. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have more questions. Okay?
Yes. Do you need anything from me, like a list of people or? Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Noel.
Have a good rest of your day.
Okay. I know a couple people have asked for a physical therapist for a couple times, and I'm so grateful that we got to have somebody come out. So Noelle is actually a friend of mine, which is why I was able to connect with her. So I'm grateful she took time to come and speak with us today. So in your packet, you'll find your meeting agenda, a senior center calendar, an AmeriCorps update sheet, mobile food pantry information. If you are a stipend volunteer, there should be a PTO printout in there for you. That has most of your fiscal year's PTO on there for all of the timesheets you have turned in that have been billed so far. Just so you know, we do PTO payout at the beginning of July, typically. So if you have PTO accrued for the whole fiscal year, it doesn't roll over. You'll just get a payout, a big check, if you receive a stipend. All right. And then next month, there will be lunch after in-service meeting provided. I do need people to RSVP, so I'm going to keep a list. If you're planning to stay for lunch after in-service next month, I need you to find me at the end, and I'll write your name down so that we have a number for people who are coming. We are going to go through some of this. One of the things that I neglected to put on the slide, in your packet, there is an AmeriCorps update sheet that Bri put together. I don't know if anyone has been following the news or anything like that, but currently the federal administration is strongly considering cutting all AmeriCorps funding. Our program is an AmeriCorps Seniors program. We do not have any updates about longevity. We do know right now all of the AmeriCorps staff are not working. So that doesn't include me because I'm hired under Catholic Charities, but anyone who is like under our AmeriCorps, like our rep that answers questions, anyone who does our compliance stuff and our program audits, anyone who does grant awards, they're all furloughed right now. And we don't have a timeline for that. Our program is secure for now. We have multiple avenues of funding through Catholic Charities funding in the budget. We also, if you have a state client, we get state match reimbursement for that. So there are other ways that we are paid through our program that can kind of help us stay more secure. As soon as I have more updates, I will let everybody know. Yeah, follow. So you mail them to me. So I'm the one who does those. So great question. So if you are emailing your timesheet to the AmeriCorps Seniors email, that is Catholic Charities specific. That's not going to AmeriCorps. That's coming. It has the CCDOJ, Catholic Charities Diocese of Joliet. Great question. Any other question about the AmeriCorps news? Yeah, Sister Marianne.
Are there, I think you sent us something where we could respond.
Yes.
Should we do that again?
Yeah, honestly, when we had a meeting, Kathy and I, with the other staff. If you want to advocate, there's a link for how to do that in that email. There's also information on the handout in your packet on how to do that. Our division director also suggested if you have clients who want to advocate and share how useful this program and how helpful it has been, if they want to do that, then they can do that as well. Yeah.
Talking about the impact
Yes.
it has on their life.
Absolutely.
And how do they do?
In your packet from your rainbow folder, there should be an AmeriCorps update. Yes, thank you, Gloria. With information on there, but also I think was it Brian who sent out the email? Yeah.
I got so much stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of a long.
Yes, it is. But Brad also sent an email with some more information, so you can pull that up too, Joyce. Yep. Any other questions? I don't have as much information as I would like, but that's what I know. Okay. All right, here we go. So, additional program update that I know you probably will have questions about. Mackenzie Joe is no longer with our program. She was done as of last Friday. I don't have a whole lot of information, but I wanted to answer questions if you had any. Currently, her email and her voicemail are being forwarded partially to me and partially to Jan, depending on if it's for Senior Center or for Senior Companion. But does anyone have questions I can answer?
Who's Jan?
Not currently because of the AmeriCorps funding issues. So they're not hiring for any open positions under the AmeriCorps grant until we get an AmeriCorps grant award letter, depending on what the federal government does. Yeah. Jan is part of, is it called Community Services?
Community-based?
Community-based programming. Okay. Jan is a supervisor from another department. Mackenzie Joe's position was split. She did some of the community programming, like Matter Balance, Bingo Size, the community center dinners. She did some of that and some of her Senior Companion. So Jan will take care of all the Senior Center stuff, and I'll take care of the Senior Companion. Yeah.
Where's Mackenzie going?
I don't know. She did not tell us. Yeah. Any other questions about Mackenzie Joe?
So you got a lot more on your shoulders now, Bry's gone and Mackenzie's gone?
So my position is still part-time, so I'll still be working Monday, Wednesday, Friday right now. But we'll see what happens. Yeah.
In regard to Bri, are they going to be looking for someone to replace?
That was my next announcement. Bri is also no longer with the program. Bri is also no longer with the program as of today. Today's her last day. She is actually moving to
New position, guaranteed rate?
Guaranteed rate. So Guaranteed Rate Insurance has a charity foundation where people can apply for grants to help with assistive devices, the cost of procedure, and stuff like that. So she will be in charge of some of that grant process to award those. So she is done as of today. So I am it for Kankakee and Iroquois County right now. Our clerical volunteers are also gone. So we are adjusting. If you need, I wanted to put this on here as well. A lot of you know Jen Wick from when things like this have happened before. Her office is in Crest Hill. She is our division director, but a while back, I don't know how many years, 10? Yeah. 10-ish years ago, she actually did my job. So she knows a lot about AmeriCorps. She knows a lot about Senior Companion. Some of you, if you've been around that long, probably know her. But I wanted to give her information too if you need that. I received all of this information after I had already done in-service prep, so it is not on your agenda. So if you want to write it down, I would encourage you to do it now. While you are writing, does anyone have questions about Bri leaving or that transition? Yeah. Currently, they are not hiring anyone else for our department until that AmeriCorps funding is figured out if it's going to continue. So it's just me for kind of an undetermined amount of time. I do ask that you are patient with me. I am taking on other work. And then Kathy is actually going to do a lot of our billing. So as our clerical volunteers shift out, Kathy will take on some of those roles. So there will be some transitions. I will still be available, but just on my Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays still.
So you're receiving all this additional responsibility with no extra time to do it?
That is correct.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So they won't be able to contact anyone on Tuesday, Thursday?
Jen Wick will be your contact then. Yep. She is very busy. I cannot speak to how available she will actually be. But I'm hoping because our program doesn't deal with emergencies most of the time, that you'll be able to call emergency services, 911, if you need emergency services, and then I can get back to you the following day. Yeah. Yeah, Paula.
You know that flyer that they put out for the senior diamond card?
Mhm.
Can be affected in any way?
Not currently. Nutrition is under a different grant. Yes. Yeah, good question. Anybody else? Okay. All right. I'm happy to answer questions later as well. In the last couple in-service meetings, we have been trying to do some group breakout activities. I thought it was appropriate that this month we would write thank you notes for Brian, Mackenzie, Joe. So I have some of those, but I also wanted to let you know, Bri, one of her last things she did this week was fill out volunteer evaluations. We're going to do the structure a little bit different this month because of all the changes that have happened. I've been feeling a little bit overwhelmed this week specifically with in-service prep. So in your rainbow folder packet, you will find your eval. While we're doing our breakout for the thank you notes, if you could also look over that. On the back, there are some lines that you can fill in about how I can support you, what you need, what is going well, what is not going well. So if you could take time to fill those out too. If you do not have any questions about your eval, once it's done, give it to Kathy. If you do have questions, hold on to it, and I will talk to you at the end of in-service after the announcements, okay? So I have thank you notes. I'm just going to pass them around so you can write them and then do your evaluation. We'll probably take about 10 minutes, okay? All right, so I'll pass around those. If you can find your evals, that would be great. We'll move on with announcements just in the interest of time, but Kathy and I will both be here after if you guys have questions or concerns. All right. We already did evaluations. If you have questions, we'll be here to answer those after. All right. Just a reminder that we do have activity bags. Bri had suggested that we highlight a couple each month, so they are highlighted. Here they are. We have cards, we have crafts, there are word searches and puzzles and all that kind of stuff, so they're here if you would like to check them out. One thing about rainbow folders, please don't take yours with you. They need to stay here. So you take everything out of it and then you put it back. That way I have it for next month in service and I can load those up as I go throughout the month. Yes, yes. If you put a timesheet or something in there, I'll go through later and take them out. Or if you have a note, or if you have car insurance or anything like that, feel free to put them in there as well. All right. This is your handbook reminder. A couple of standards of behavior when working with vulnerable people. All of you should have completed the Protecting God's Children training already, so we all do that as kind of a preventative measure. Also, We go through the handbook in its entirety throughout the year, so this section is just reminding you that inappropriate physical touch is not allowed, such as kissing, touching any private areas, tickling or wrestling, anything like that. We have not had anything happen, we just have to remind you once a year. So here's your reminder. Any questions about that? Pretty straightforward. Here are your timesheet due dates. One note about timesheets, now that it's just me for this area, I do not work Monday mornings. So if you turn in your timesheet on Monday morning, it will not get processed, just so you know. I am here Friday, so if you turn it in Friday, it will get processed. Typically, I send everything to Kathy at about 1 o'clock on a Friday, and that is why we said it's due at noon. So, any questions about timesheets in the transition? Okay, sounds good. If you did not get paid, please see me in order to review timesheet mistakes. I do have a couple in my stack. Our next in-service meeting is June 20th, and again, there will be lunch afterwards, so see me after so I can put your name on my RSVP list. I don't know. I'm not providing it. It's here. Harbor House. They're coming to speak, and then they're going to provide lunch after. So it'll be catered in, I'm not sure from where. Yep. Our next holiday is in a couple Mondays, May 26th for Memorial Day. If you're a stipend volunteer, you get 4 hours paid on that day. All right. Advisory committee, we don't have another meeting until I think August, but Jen Wick is now the contact for that, and she'll be in charge of coordinating everything. Okay.
The food prices are going up.
The
gas going up. Gas.
Yeah, the price of gas is going up, yes. Gotcha. Once they decide if they're going to continue our program, we can advocate for that. Right now, I would like to keep my job. Does anyone have questions or concerns? Yeah, Gloria.
Kathy, on the upcoming holiday, you don't have on Juneteenth.
Yes, I will announce. So it's the 20th. You're right. Juneteenth is also a holiday, which is the Thursday before our next in-service meeting. Yep. Thank you, Gloria. Any other questions or concerns? 4. Yep. Same as every holiday. Yep.
Actually, Jackie, I do have something that
4 hours for the holiday, for Juneteenth. June 19th. Yep, but June.
I do have something to thank you guys for.
Oh, okay.
Last week, my client was sick and her daughter called me, and with her and I having direct contact rather than going through you, I was able to go on Friday instead of Wednesday.
Good.
And I appreciated being able to do it directly with the client's daughter.
Absolutely.
That really saved a lot.
It does. Yeah.
Problems between us. So
yes, absolutely.
we both appreciated being able to handle that between us.
I appreciate that, Joanne. Yeah, Joanne was saying she appreciates that you guys get the client's direct contact number. That way you don't have to go through me. I can be hard to get a hold of, and I recognize that. So, yes. Sister Marianne, I saw your hand. No? Okay, Paula.
Okay. My one client, she got, she's been ill up and down, and she ended up going to the hospital, Lincoln Fields. Then they put her in a nursing home, and now she's trying to get live-in care, 24/7. Now, if she gets that, she no longer would have me for a senior companion, or how does that work?
Is she going to a long-term care facility?
No.
She would be at home? Yeah, you could still go. Yep. Absolutely. Our services are for people who live independently in the community, whether that is with living with a child as a caregiver or paying somebody or, yeah, good question.
I just would like to personally thank you and all the people I don't want to use one, but what you have done for us, and I appreciate the difficult times you're going to be going through.
Thank you, David.
We want to let you know that I'm going to be supportive of prayers and whatever else I can do. I appreciate a lot the Senior Companion Program. I hope it can continue.
Thank you.
Continue to be funded. But I know there's a lot of pressure on you ladies right now. And you're in my thoughts and prayers.
I appreciate that. That's really kind. Yeah. Yeah. There have been some unexpected changes in the last 2 weeks. I don't think.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah. It is not often that 4 people leave my department in the same week. So, but I think I started this job by myself, without Mackenzie Joe, without clerical volunteer. So I have kind of a model for how I can do it. It's just the adjustment period. So thank you. Yeah. Okay. If you want to come to lunch next week, find me. I'll put your name down on the RSVP list. If you have questions about your evaluations, please stick around so I can answer those. Okay. Call me if you need me.